Hello Internet, Magic Man here again from MMOBomb.com, and today we're taking a first look at Maestia, a free-to-play MMORPG that just went into open beta today, July 19th, brought to you by the team over at Gravity Interactive. Now you will need your Warp Portal account up and active so that you can set up a game account and play. We'll spend about 15-20 minutes in here. I'll give you some information that we grabbed from a developer's call as well, and give you an overall first impressions of the game. So, as you can see, we've got two factions. Think of it like, similar to World of Warcraft. Two factions are at war with each other, but they're also after the same common goals for different reasons. So, you'll be fighting the same bosses and things like that. No gender locking here, and everybody has access to the same four classes: Warrior, Mage, Cleric, and Ranger. Pretty self-explanatory what the classes do. You've got your tank, you've got your healer, you've got your ranged magic DPS, you've got your ranged physical DPS there. So we're going to go ahead and create a Ranger here. And character models don't look too bad. Get in here on the face, take a look. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. Now, as far as options, there aren't a whole lot to go with. A couple preset faces, preset hair. We'll flip through a couple of those, get ourselves a good style. Of course, the ladies are wearing armor that is just oh so protective, because that's exactly what a woman would wear into battle. Now the sliders, wow, yeah, the sliders here for body definitely make a difference. Height and width is basically what it looks like. And we can shift things around here and pick some colors. Gotta say, I like the character models. Now, like I said before, we did have a call with the developing team behind the game prior to the beta actually starting today, the open beta. They've already had a closed beta. That was a couple of weeks ago. So now anybody can get in. Just go to the website, set up your Warp Portal account, get your game account ready to go. We're going to take a male ranger here. Okay, so we can change the tattoo on the face there. Again, all preset. And then the hairstyles, there's 6 or 7 of them. Face styles, same thing. Yep. So pretty basic. You guys and gals that love to dig into character customization. Right now, at least in the beta, there's not a whole ton here. So we're just going to get this created, name it, and get in the game here. Now, I'm taking out here cutscenes and things like that. You'll notice that we're right into the first zone. You actually start inside a city that's right off of this zone. But there's a cutscene there, and there were a lot of people, so it was a little dicey. So I just brought you right out to town here. We'll move the map. Now, one thing I will say right off the bat is you do level pretty quickly. I spent about 5 hours in here today as soon as the beta went up. When I finished, I was level 20. Right now, the open beta has a level cap of 59. Now, the developers today did not say what the final level cap will be on launch. So, not much I can give you there besides right now in the open beta, it's 59. Now, looking at the screen, you're going to notice that it's, pretty much like a bunch of other MMOs you've played. And they made a big deal about that on the conference call today, where they wanted the control scheme to be more traditional. WASD, mouse camera movement, strafing left and right, hotbars. They tried to keep it user interface more traditional so that they could capture people that were familiar with MMOs and make it easily accessible to those guys and girls, as well as new players as well. So here's your skill chart, and it's your typical type of chart. Put points in different abilities, move along the lines, whether you want to be assassin or an archer, or there's a middle tier that, both types of builds would use. Things like that. Every level you'll get 5 points that you can throw into your attributes. So if you've played, it reminded me a lot of Alids Online. As soon as you level, both of those icons show up on either side of the hotbar, and then you're able to click on them, allocate some points into skills, and then go ahead and pick a talent. Combat, simple right click will start you off, and then you can hotkey your abilities. just like every other MMO you've played, pretty much. Now, there are a couple unique features, and I say unique meaning you don't see them often. I didn't come across in my first 20 levels of play anything that was just, oh wow, I've never seen that before. But I did come across things that I've liked in other MMOs that I haven't seen in very many of them. For instance, the way the questing works in here is just a shade different. You've probably seen it in other games. In the right-hand corner there, next to the quest that I have, you see what's a prayer marker. And that is where the bulk of your quests are going to come from, and where the bulk of them will get turned in. Just give it a little clicky. It'll take you to a little cutscene. You'll see one here in just a second when I turn one in. And you can pick up some new quests. And away you go. So there's no real going back to town, picking up quests, coming out, doing them, going back to town. You don't have a lot of that. Now, there are quests in the environment, so you can get quests in a town or at a little stationed outpost or whatever. But the bulk of your quests are going to be through this prayer function. So we'll kill a couple more of these and get our quest items. Typical fare, kill 7 of these and get 10 gold and a hug. The tooltips were kind of helpful just as far as getting to know the mechanics here. Alright, so should be just about done here. Now, it is typical tab target, no real dodging or anything. I did notice as a ranger, though, a lot of times I was able to kite very, very well. Almost too well. To the point where I could kite in a circle and gun something down and never have it hit me. Including, like you just saw there, firing at odd, at odd angles. As long as you pretty much didn't have your back to the target, you were able to get a shot off. Most of your ranger abilities, too, when you trigger them, if you're on the run, it will lock you down and fire them, but it doesn't interrupt your casting. So now we'll click on the prayer icon. Comes up, shows us what I can turn in. And then, of course, it gives me new quests that I can take as well. And in this case, I had 2 to pick up. I've always liked that kind of streamlining of quests. Again, other games have done it, but I always thought that that was a neat feature. It kept you going rather than, okay, I'm gonna run back to town and turn these in, and then I'm gonna call it a night because I don't feel like running all the way back. Environment's a little dicey here and there. Like I couldn't jump over that log. That was kind of depressing. So the game's got its typical PvP and PvE content. There are dungeons in here. They can be 1-man, 2-man, grouped up. I'm actually going to take you into a dungeon here in the first dungeon of the game in a few minutes, and we'll talk about the Mercenary System and one of the really cool aspects of that they brought up on the developers call today. As far as you PvP guys, the typical PvP, except there was one feature they talked about on the developer call where in the center of my hotbar at the bottom, you'll notice that there's a sun. And that just obviously tells you that it's daylight out. There's one zone in the game where when it's daylight, it's a typical PvE zone. However, when night falls, they turn into 2 fortresses on that zone, and it's like an outdoor world PvP type event with the 2 factions going at it. So they are implementing some day-night mechanics where things are different. Right now, they said it's only in the one zone, but they are looking at pulling that out into multiple zones. So just finish up and kill some things here. The story is, it's kind of neat. I mean, it's typical, again, it's RPG stuff that you've seen. I mean, we have all of those great things that are staples of RPG, like little boy has to band together with his friends and save the world, and girl awakes with amnesia and you take control. I mean, you've got all those RPG stereotypes. And while those aren't in this particular story, it is a pretty stereotypical RPG. I did get some blues mighty early, but let's go take a peek at some dungeon stuff now. So this is the first dungeon in the game. It's an underground shrine. And you'll notice right here there are different difficulty levels. So you can choose to up the level. Right now, normal is what I have access to. Level 19 is where you'll get expert access to this first dungeon. I did go back and try it on expert by myself. It looked like the layout was pretty much the same. Even the pools were the same. The only difference was the mobs were stronger. Instead of being level 10 and 11 like they are in this run you're about to see, they were level 19. And this is where, and you could do this in the city, but the first time I did it was this dungeon here, the Mercenary System, where you can hire a mercenary of a different class, or a same class if you want, and bring them in, and it's an NPC-controlled character. Now, again, we've seen this done in other MMOs RPG games, so that's not particularly new. However, the AI was pretty good when I set it to auto-attack. It did things correctly. The NPC didn't get us into trouble, basically. It didn't do that nasty pet pull where all of a sudden you're fighting 7 things. So it was okay. You know, I had no problems with the NPC. However, you don't have to pay gold on this one, but when you do play the advanced dungeons or you come back on expert level, you have to pay for the mercenary. On my first run-through on expert, it was like 3,100 gold. Gold is very easy to come by, to the point where to send mail is 100 gold. Just to give you an idea of how easy it comes by. To send a letter is 100 gold. To start a guild is 50,000 gold. So it does flow pretty quickly. On the developers call, they talked about the Mercenary System and gave us a little more detail about it. Now, one of the aspects that I thought was really, really cool about this, and you're not going to see it in the video just because, you know, it's the first day of beta, but the Mercenary System will actually let you put yourself out there as a mercenary. So, if you're going to be away for the week, you know you're going to great-grandma's in New York City or wherever the hell your great-grandmother lives, you're going to be away for a couple of days. You can put your character on the Mercenary Market. If people use it, your friends or strangers or whatever, people use your character as the mercenary, you will gain experience, you will gain gold, things like that, while you're not even playing the game. I thought that was a pretty neat feature. So, you know, if you're running around with a bunch of friends and you can't make it that night, they can still use your character in a dungeon, and you still reap the benefits. I mean, you may come back from vacation and find you've gained 3 or 4 levels, and you didn't even play the damn game. So we're going to work our way through this dungeon here. I'm sure one of the things you guys all want to know about, it's one of the first things I wanted to know about on the developer call. I asked them, they had mentioned a little bit about the cash shop, that it was going to have cosmetic items in it, and then of course, you know, experience potions and things like that. The experience rate you're seeing here is not modified in any way. I don't have any potions or anything, so this is what's currently the normal XP rate. So I asked the developers, how are you avoiding the pay-to-win moniker? Can you give us some more details about the cash shop? And so they elaborated by saying that most of it's vanity items. They are going to have some mounts, so maybe there's a mount that's a few percentage points faster than a mount that you can get in game without using the cash shop, but that's all it will get you, as a little movement bonus. They went through the potions, the things like that. When you die in this game, the penalty for death is experience drain, an experience penalty. Any of you guys that have played other games, Final Fantasy XI comes to mind, where if you die, you actually lost experience. That's what's happening here. It's usually about 3% experience penalty, at least at the levels 1 through 20 that I was playing for the beta here. They said on the cash shop there may be potions that counterbalance that negative experience effect, so nothing really pay to win. But then they mentioned pets. They're going to have a few pets on the cash shop, companion-type pets, and I didn't think anything of it until they continued to elaborate and said that there may be pets that offer a stat point difference, but it's a very, very, very minimal, and I have to make that clear. They specified that it's very, very, very minimal points. You're talking about you have a cool pet and maybe like a 1% crit bonus. And while it doesn't sound like a lot, I can definitely see it, you know, if you get into an endgame guild that's, you know, trying to power through stuff. I could see some of the stats, even though they're minimal, becoming important to the point where the guild would expect you to have them, and no other way to obtain them but the cash shop. So we'll have to wait and see. Don't make a judgment call yet. It's still in beta. We weren't actually able to access the cash shop yet. This is just from the developer's call. So give it a look when the cash shop's available. Take a look at the pets and the stat modifiers. As far as gear and everything, they said that that would not have stat modification on it. But the pets are something to keep an eye out for. All in all, if I had to give you a score, you say, Magic Man, give me a damn score. That's what I want to know. Give me a score. I'd give it a 6 to a 7 out of 10. And I'll tell you why. It doesn't do anything particularly wrong. I didn't stumble across anything that was broken in my first 5 hours or so of gameplay. I'm going to jump in and play it a little more, maybe hit another dungeon or two to get more of a feel for the game. I mean, I'm only level 20 on a level cap of 59. But the game also didn't do anything revolutionary for me, so I would put it at about a 6 or a 7, which in my estimation is about an average MMO. There wasn't anything particularly grand that I just said, oh man, I absolutely love this. I did like some of the features, like the Mercenary and being able to put yourself on the Mercenary Market. But as far as story and gameplay and graphics, it's just a solid game. If you're looking for something different to look at, you know, you're sick of looking at Alids or you're sick of looking at Aeon or any other game that you're playing and you just want to get into something different, you'll have fun. Don't expect anything earth-shattering, but you'll have fun. If you're looking for something totally new and that's the only way you're going to leave the game that you're going to play is something totally new, honestly, MMO gamer to MMO gamer, this isn't going to rock your world. But it's a solid game. I do recommend checking it out if you're looking for something new. Or if you're new to MMORPGs, you could do a hell of a lot worse than this one to jump in and play. I had fun. I'm going to check it out some more. I hope you guys liked the video. Make sure you rate, comment, subscribe. Let me know how you thought about the game. Stay safe. And until next time, I'll see you on the servers.